Thank you, Ricardo. We're so happy you share with us the most updated information on cattle traceability. And as for the Minerva Leather actions, we're going to be watching this session by Otávio Klein. Otávio is the executive manager of Minerva Leather. And so here's the topic of a session, Minerva Leather, full traceable leather. Please give it up for Otávio. Good afternoon. Is it working? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, CICB, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be talking about a journey into sustainability at Minerva and all the challenges we have had over the, let's say, 20 years almost since we assumed the very first sustainability commitments. So, well, thank you so much, Ricardo. You're an inspiration to me. You were like standing still the whole time. If for some reason get in your way, please let me know. As for Minerva in numbers, if you don't know, we are a slaughterhouse. We are the largest exporters of beef in Rio Grande do Sul with market share of, let's say, 20%. Our slaughter capacity is of approximately 30,000 heads per day, which means 30,000 leathers or cowhides a day, including Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Colombia. So you can have an idea of how much we do. So we deal with a lot of stuff, policies and challenges and opportunities from each of these countries, all of them from South America. Of course, we also work with sheep. We have a production of over 20,000 sheep in Australia. As for, this is the context. It's important to provide the context to you because this is the part of our journey, sustainability journey. We are one of the largest providers of leather on the planet without a tannery. We work with third parties. We have 9 operations except for Colombia, which has their own operation. In other countries, we have service providers until we get the final product semi-finished. We have 9 operations in all these countries: Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And in Mexico, we have a production of over 300,000 leathers per month, and all those leathers are traced until the farm, until they get to the farm. And because we don't work with a tannery, because we work with third parties, it's important because it's essential for what we have done thus far. That's why I use the title links to traceability. I think that the title is fascinating. It's very much in line with what we do. The links of this chain is basically what made us grow and evolve and be a pioneer, play a leading role in traceability. Several actions involving traceability. Since the very beginning, as a leather producer, we had to unify the chain. We had to get to our own slaughterhouse, and then like the quality marking, fire marking, we had to go to our client and look for partners who could aggregate projects to our company, to our business, and selling this project to our providers and make these individuals grow, these people grow. So our service providers, the tanneries that work with us, like for instance, from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, they're not the same. We have sought environmental certifications, ISO certifications as well. So the idea is unifying the chain, the Minerva culture, which is all about unifying. This is what made us get to this point with many challenges and be as successful as we are within the idea of traceability. So we use the strategy, culture of partnership to do something that seemed impossible. We came up to the farmer to talk about leather traceability. The slaughterhouse many times will not talk about it with them because this is such a commercial business relationship, but we managed to do it. Let's do it. How can we do it together? So we call our clients. We came up to our clients and their clients as well, like the shoe brands, the car maker, or the upholstery company, to come together and join forces. Like me, like coming here, get on the plane and come here and sell their project. And I say as part of these things they will be able to accomplish in the end will go to you. So the idea is to aggregate value to the chain. It's like it's an actual project. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the traceability agenda today. So we have 3 pillars. Our sustainability agenda is divided into 3 pillars. The first one is about the dedication to the planet. I'm going to be delving into this one more specifically. Of course, we talk about prosperity and product quality, but I want to talk about dedication to the planet, focusing on traceability. So we launched a public commitment in 2020 with all of our actions. The intermediate goals to get to 2035 having free carbon emissions, 0 carbon emissions by 2035. But this is what we want by 2035. We have like scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. And this is actually our major challenge. 96% of our emissions in our slaughterhouse come from the scope 3, the farms. So this is exactly what we wanted to do. So the same thing we did in 2020. So here are the points the things that we have done. We have achieved 100% of traceability and monitoring of all the direct suppliers in Brazil in 2020. The idea was to, in Paraguay, reached our goals. So we had a public commitment there, and in Colombia as well. And here in Uruguay and Argentina are the last 2 countries that we're still working hard to reach 100%. And including all the other intermediate goals, one of the goals is to reach 0 illegal deforestation in all of our operations for considering direct and indirect suppliers. From the very beginning, from the source of the animal. And also we want to have 50% of our animals from participating suppliers within the Renove program. In Brazil, we have over 23,000 farms being monitored. I'm going to be telling you how it works, but we use a platform, an audited platform. We look at the compliance and labor relations and environmental relations, and every country has their own requirements concerning deforestation. We're also going to be looking at the list of embargoes from our government. We're going to be looking at all those records and compare to the records from the farm. Every time we purchase something, if for instance a farmer sells 100 animals today, we're going to be looking at the 100 animals. I don't know, perhaps there is something in the slave labor list, so we're going to be checking things one by one. This ensures that this ensures traceability and monitoring, and as well as environmental compliance for our partners and clients. In Paraguay, we have over 4,000 farms being monitored, and in Colombia as well. So we 100% of our animal purchases have been monitored in terms of a slaughterhouse. In Argentina, over 6,000 farms are being monitored. Our goal for 2030, it's almost there. We're very close to getting it, like we reached 90%. And as for Uruguay, last country we began working on, there's a deforestation, zero deforestation. We began this year, and we have over 48% of our suppliers being monitored. That means we have the source farm for every purchase. We monitor the items of purchase. This is a video. Let me see if it works. This shows how things work in actuality. Different layers are being added. Here we have the indigenous lands, quilombolas lands, and then we're going to get here to a farm in the state of Mato Grosso, in the center west. So there are deforested areas there, and this will appear to us as blocked. We don't have access to it. I'm gonna click on it, and it appears as blocked. So this particular farm, we cannot trade anything there. Everything we purchase, the farmer will go into the system, enter every single piece of information into our database, purchase database. This will be shared with this major platform, and the environmental analysis of this farm will be carried out. And if it's not in compliance, we cannot buy it. Farmers cannot buy it. And this is applicable to every single country we operate in. The blue balls represent our farmers. In Paraguay, for instance, click on it. When you click on it, it looks green. It's free. You get all the information from the farm, technical report, and so it's good to go. And how do we prove that we're actually monitoring? What do we get in return in addition to the system being monitored? There is a public auditing that is carried out by the Office of the Public Prosecutor in some states in the country, Pará, for instance, in Rondônia, and the Office of the Public Prosecutor does what we do. We cross GTA information, and we look at all the purchases that Minerva made, and all those farms, and the records from those farms, and the products that can be found there. And we cross those data to see if it's being in accordance, if it's compliant. And we reached 100% of compliance, both in Mato Grosso and Rondônia and Pará states. And this shows that we do what we say we do. And we've also reached 100% of compliance in the auditing we carried out in Pará. They have specific guidelines. There are very strict guidelines, and we are in accordance with them in Paraguay as well. There is no public auditing from the Paraguayan government. More recently, we were challenged, or we are having the challenge to
in the last few years of indirect suppliers. So we need to advance this in the chain, and including the indirect suppliers, and reaching until birth. So we have several projects for this. Visipec is a tool of risk management that is already incorporated in our purchase base. So it performs a risk assessment of our management of our suppliers to mitigate our risk. VisiPack works for the Amazon states. We have Prospec, which basically is a technology transfer. So this system that I just showed, where we have access to the data from the farm and satellite images, we transfer this technology to our supplier. So our supplier, when they purchase the cattle, they can check the farm. We are at a phase where we are promoting this to our suppliers, encouraging its use, so that later we can create a data connection and be able to extract more information and to work with our suppliers so that they can provide data to us and beef and leather and animals free of deforestation. So this is a big project of ours. It's a long-term project, and today we have more than 40% of our slaughter scale in suppliers that are registered and using this app. However, if you are in the leather industry, you know that the urgency of leather is much higher than the meat and other industries, so as we say, we could not wait. We have several actions from the government that are taking place. We have actions by Minerva Foods that are taking place, but Minerva Leather needed to start ahead and talk about leather. So we tried to structure through several months some projects and different ways of addressing this issue of complete traceability while the European Union law was coming, and we reached the conclusion today, after all that, it seems basic, but at the time it was not, that we should not reinvent the wheel, that we should continue and improve what is done, what is well done in Brazil. So as was mentioned in the previous presentation, we have the traceability SysBOV, which is individual identification of animals. This is already done and approved by the European Union, and what we are doing basically is going to these producers first and saying, look, this one you can play with 90 days before slaughter, and if you add that when in the young, in the calf, and if you talked with your supplier for him to tag the animal, and this is how the conversation started, and we reached this project with SBC, and at the time that became Primi later, and we created this protocol. There's the Primi protocol created by these two companies that combined with our internal protocol, and this is the project that we are not only developing or promoting, but actually delivering. So what we can guarantee with this project, we can guarantee an animal that is 100% traced and free of deforestation from birth, and also fulfilling other criteria, social environmental criteria that we already do about slave labor and child labor and so on. So how do we transfer the data, the traceability data, from the animal to leather? There are different types of stamps and identifications. We went there at the most specific one and more difficult one to use, and this is our learning in this journey, that you need to do this in detail. It must be intentional and it must have credibility. That's all that we have. And we always say that Brazilians and South Americans, you don't need only to do well, you must show that. You must do it right and show that it's right. And you need someone from abroad auditing that one and another one auditing the other. This is our reality, and we decided to face this reality. So we looked at the details. So how we're doing, we are stamping these full traceable leathers. So we stamp the animal. All our operations addition, today in Brazil, I forgot to say, all our leather is stamped at the slaughterhouse. We stamp at the slaughterhouse. It comes out with the lot number. You don't mix the leathers, so it has a lot number from the farm. However, as we evolved in this process, we understood that this farmer, for example, John, who is providing 100 animals for us, he's providing 100 animals for the beef, because it has this 100 animals, and that's what he's going to, that are ready, and he's going to sell that. Of those 100, maybe 50, for 50 he has traceability from birth, and 50 he does not have. And we must know how to separate this. Because usually when we're talking about large scale, he won't be able to sell the animals, only the animals that are traced, because he has a demand from the animal that is getting ready and must be sold. So we are stamping not by batch, but by animal, by sequence of or order of slaughter. So a slaughterhouse that slaughters 2,000 animals per day, it goes from, there's an order from 001 to 2,000. So we are stamping each animal 01, 2, 3 to 2,000. So in this example, we have our slaughter sequence. This is an internal data, and how, because this is traced by the European Union and approved by the European Union, there's a whole protocol, health protocol established. Animal 002 is this one, this SysBov number. So we know by the sequence of slaughter, we know the SysBov number, which is a large number for us to stamp or to print on the leather. So with the SysBov data, we have the whole life of the animal. And then we provide to our customer in the platform of indirect suppliers, which Ricardo mentioned before. We provide, this is a test one, so we don't share customers' data. We have here, in this case of invoice, we're going to show to our customer who have online access to this platform. We'll show what leathers are going in each container that they're buying, full trace leather. So he will have the direct farms and the indirect farms. So he has access here. This is from a slaughterhouse of Palmeiras, from Goiás. It's farm X. This farm is the indirect one. So this is the farm of the calf. So you have access to the stamp, the date, the public data of the farm. This is the location of the farm, that it's cleared with the results of analysis and everything, and even a QR code with public data that can be shared. And there's the direct farm, so the one who purchased this calf to feed, and in the case this one is our supplier, the one who sold the animal to Minerva. There's also Farm X. If you click there, you will find the location of the farm and a QR code. So this provides to our customer something that does not exist today in the world, in my knowledge. So they have access and they have assurance of full traceability from birth. This is the certification that we receive for each slaughter. So in this case, the Farm X sold 53 animals, and there's the SysBov number of those animals, number 002 in the slaughter sequence. So not necessarily the farm sold only 53 animals, maybe they sold 100, but of those 100, the other 47, they didn't have traceability to the calf. Maybe they had an intermediary one, so they have full traceability for 53, so those 53 are traced from birth. So we started this project in 2022. And this project has a slow progress or scaling up, because when we look back, we go to our farmer and we ask, how many have you already tagged from birth, and they'll say, well, from half a dozen because it's not required, and the others that I purchased tagged, I didn't get the data, I cannot ask because I don't work with that supplier anymore. So it was a very hard work from the beginning. So we started in 23 to receive leathers, to have animals ready and leathers being manufactured. So we closed the year with 16,000, and this year many that we started in 22 already started to tag at the beginning, so we have more animals, more leathers for 2024, and for 2025 we will start to have a larger volume. So next year we expect, without new farmers joining the program, we expect to have 200,000 leathers full traceable in Brazil. This we're talking only about Brazil. We're not counting complete cycle programs that we have, which is the case of organic and Uruguay. This is only Brazil, only this program of full traceable. It's an increase in scale that is slow and it takes a lot of work, but it works, and this is what our customer and our partners, our stakeholders, and everybody wants. They want to show results. They want to show that we're not ready, but we are improving, and we are getting ready to be ready in the future. So our journey until 2035 is already set, and we are going to fulfill it. So we say that traceability, and this is the focus of Leather, it's not the finish line. Traceability is just a step. And why is that a step? We are basically creating a link in the chain and making sure that we know where this leather is coming from. But when we know where this leather is coming from, that's when we start to actually to do what our industry needs, which is to add value to leather, to make this leather to be desired again. This goes through different processes, including going beyond then well-being, animal well-being. We are audited every year for animal well-being by organizations and customers, external auditors, and so on, but you must go beyond that. When you know where that calf was born, and we are talking with that guy, we can tell him, because today there's an important award in this process. There's an award that is paid for, a premium paid for each full trace animal that we get. This is how we engaged, by creating value, transferring value from the top to the base of the chain. This value is not at Minerva. This value comes from the end and goes back to the farmer. And if you talk to the farmer and said, look, you have this premium, if you don't tag by fire the animal, you're going to gain another X. If you have good practices, let's say regenerative farm integration with forestry and good management practices, you gain another amount, the green financing. So our Renove program, I don't have time to talk about this, but this is the one that we like the most, farms of low carbon and maybe even neutral carbon. So the animal comes to the slaughterhouse with zero carbon. What the farm emits, they compensate in the farm itself. Sometimes it's even negative carbon. In South America, we did a test. I'll go over my allotted time, but we did a study with Embrapa in 25 farms, 5 in each country. Of the 25, 100% of those are under the average, the global average of emissions. South America is sustainable, is competitive. 3 of those are negative carbon. They sequestrate more than they emit. So there's a very strong work to be done, and we must capture this value. We must innovate continuously and show that this is a sustainable leather production that we have in South America. So carbon is not yet in leather, but we already export carbon neutral beef from Uruguay and Brazil. In leather, there's still a lot. We're already in conversation about this, but we don't have yet lines of neutral carbon leather due to several reasons. It's a raw material. There are lots of processes up downstream, but this is the future, and traceability is going to allow this, because if I know where the calf was born, I know exactly how much carbon was emitted from that animal. I don't need to look at historical average or international protocols. I have a primary data. I know exactly what that animal emitted, and I can deliver that to the shoe brand, to the automotive company, the upholstery factory, the collagen factory, and everyone. So this is the future, and we believe that traceability is just a step. And I highlight what Ricardo said, that this is a one-way movement. In the morning, in a meeting, he said, do you remember that in the 80s and 90s, they started to pressure the Brazilian tanneries for water treatment and effluent at the time? They're going to forget these requirements, it's not important. Today, this is a basic stuff. It's not considered certification. This is a basic thing. If you don't have, you are out. Traceability is going to be also a basic requirement. So if you're not concerned with this, if you're just waking up to this now, it's late. I want to leave this message to you, because sometimes we play victims. We say that this is something from the Europeans, but no, this is coming to stay. In Europe, they are giving us 18 months to be ready. When China says that they want this, it's starting tomorrow. China does not warn you. If they say that they need traceability, to be tomorrow. So guys, the message that I wanted to say is this one. We have an example that is not the solution. It's one of the solutions, but we need to evolve in that to make it work.
Well, just to sum up here, some initiatives that we take part in. We take part in all the tables, including the UN's Global Pact. We take part in the ISEB3. We're an open company. We are an ICO 2B3 company too. And if you want to find out more about it, please, you can ask your questions using your email. You can ask me in the hallway. My email address here is right here at the end, octavia.klein@minervafoods.com. And if you go to our website, you can get more information too, including the studies on low carbon, and that includes the farmers' testimonials. And if you want to go there, please contact us. Thank you very, very much. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here. Thanks again.